What happens when YouTube fame meets raw boxing power? The boxing world is going crazy over Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, and the experts can't stop talking about it. This isn't just another celebrity fight. This could be the battle that changes everything we know about modern boxing.
Tank and his team must all be completely brain dead. And if he were the face of boxing, it would fucking end.
But also because if he gets knocked out and loses to Jake Paul, it creates this illusion that Jake Paul's much better than he actually is.
Boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. just dropped some shocking truth about Jake Paul facing Tank Davis. Roy didn't hold back. He said Tank has what it takes to end Jake's boxing career right there in the ring. But here's the crazy part. Roy also warned that when two fighters are on completely different levels, the fight loses its real meaning. Is he saying Jake doesn't belong in there with Tank?
Of taking Jake Paul out. So the exhibitions that I like to see are ones that either I can mythically look at and say, wow, well, if he would have did that back when he was 10 years younger or 8 years or 12 years ago, he would have beat him. You understand me? Because we know boxing. We can see what the landscape looks like without even seeing it. You understand me? So an exhibition amongst two people that are that or were that, or one that is that and one that was that, that tells people that know the game, that tells us a lot. Exhibition between people who are way apart, it's not going to tell us nothing, because both of y'all are high-level boxers, but y'all are so far apart that was something no one ever fathomed. And to be honest, I ain't going to go that far because you're going to get mad at me again, so I'm just going to keep it at that.
But wait, it gets even more controversial. Roy Jones Jr. just revealed how today's boxers think completely different than fighters from his time. He explained that Tank Davis learned from Floyd Mayweather to fight smart and avoid unnecessary damage. Roy then slammed modern fighters, including Jake Paul, for only caring about money instead of proving they're the best. Are we watching the death of real boxing?
Tank can do the same thing the mentor did. That's what the mentor is for, to teach you how to do this thing the smart way and not get you hurt. Not have to take no risk, not to take many chances. Everybody had their own mentors, their own pound for pounds, their own people they want to be like. If he want to be like that guy that y'all say is great and was one of the best ever, why can't he do it? If he make 50 to 100 million fighting Jake Paul, they'll be cool with it because they're cool with you making money. That's what the fan bases are on now. They have put you just making money being good. Back in our day, they won't be cool with that. You had to prove you was the best. They thought you fought because you wanted to be the best of the division or the best of your era. I want to be the best in my division. As a matter of fact, I want to be the best around my division. Not just in my division, even around my division, I want to be the best. Today's fighters, they have been taught that that's not the way to do it nowadays. Nowadays, go for the bag.
Jake Paul's own father just went off on Tank Davis. Gregory Paul didn't just criticize Tank, he completely destroyed him. He said talking to Tank is like talking to a little kid and called his whole team a mess during contract talks. Then he made the boldest claim ever, that Jake Paul saved boxing and even helped women's boxing more than Tank ever did. Is Papa Paul right, or did he just cross the line?
Tank knows what he's doing. He was just making all these implications that it's going to be scripted.
You pay me? Are you paying me?
Yeah.
100%?
Let me ask you a question.
I need that extra. He for sure paid him to ask that question.
Brother, that's game. Number one, he was right. He didn't mean that the outcome of the fight was scripted. He's like, all of this shit, this guy asking the question, this guy over here, what you just said right there, that's a script, but not the outcome of the fight. You could tell because Aiden showed up, put up that bet, and Tank was like, let's make it 2 million.
You split the bet with me, 250, 250. Easy. Let's make it $1 million.
Let's make it 2.
2 mil.
There we go.
Hey, bro. And I'm going to say this, because the war room, we're Team Tank. I ain't feeling how Jake keep calling Tank Davis dumb, bro. He ain't dumb, bro. So for any other reason, Gervonta, knock him out.
Hold up, because now Tank's supporters are fighting back hard. Showbiz the Adult jumped in to defend Tank Davis after people called him slow and dumb. He broke down exactly what Tank meant about the script comments, explaining it was about the fake press conference setup, not the actual fight. Then he proved Tank's intelligence by showing how quickly he doubled the bet amount on the spot. But is this enough to silence the critics?
Tank, yeah, he gets touched with it, but he's quick. Pull that shoulder back. You know what I'm saying? He's quick to pull that shoulder back. I just don't know if he could get to that reach, man. That's the biggest question. From that spot right there, could a left hand rain through on the backside?
Even more shocking, boxing champion Andre Ward just admitted something that could change everything. Ward gave Jake Paul serious credit for training with real professional fighters and taking real punches. Then he said something that sent shockwaves through the boxing community. Jake's right hand is dangerous enough to hurt Gervonta Davis, but Ward also reminded everyone that Tank has been sparring bigger guys his whole career. So who really has the advantage here?
Let me tell you something that you either don't know or not willing to admit. And that's, after November 14th, there is a huge possibility that Gervonta Tank Davis will be the biggest name in the boxing world. And I mean globally. And number two, he could quite possibly be every boxing fan's hero after November 14th. Either you guys haven't thought about this, don't realize this, or not willing to admit it.
The tension got so real that things almost exploded at the press conference. Wade Plemons broke down the moment Jake Paul tried to push Tank Davis and how Tank almost threw his devastating left hand right there on stage. Wade pointed out that if Jake makes one wrong move and gets too close, Tank will be ready to knock him out cold. Are we seeing the preview of what's coming in the actual fight?
Let me tell you how. Just imagine. If Gervonta Tank Davis knocks out Jake Paul, boxing is going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero.
But here's where it gets really wild. Some people think this fight will make Tank Davis the biggest name in all of boxing. Showbiz the Adult made a prediction that shocked everyone. He said after November 14th, Tank could become a global superstar and even a hero to boxing fans everywhere. Most people don't realize how huge Tank's star power could become after beating Jake Paul. Could this one fight change Tank's entire career?
It comes down to the size gap. Gervonta Davis is a tiny man, 5'5", and I reckon his in-the-ring weight is somewhere around 145 to 150 pounds. Meanwhile, Jake Paul is around 6 foot. We're not quite sure. I think he says he's 6'1" or 6'2". I've heard other people saying I think he's closer to 5'11", 6 foot. But the point is he's a much, much taller man. And in the Mike Tyson fight, he was over 220 pounds. So the size difference is massive. This fight's been made at 195-pound catch weight. But after Jake's rehydrated, assuming there's no rehydration clause, which I don't believe there is, he'll probably weigh around 215 pounds in the ring. That means there's a sort of a 60 to 70 pound difference between the two men in the ring on fight night, which is absolutely enormous.
Showbiz explained exactly why Tank Davis could become boxing's biggest hero. While Jake Paul deserves some credit for bringing attention to boxing, many real boxing fans are completely tired of his circus act. If Tank knocks out Jake Paul with one of his signature bombs, the entire boxing world might celebrate him as the man who saved the sport from becoming a joke. Will Tank be the hero boxing needs?
But also because if he gets knocked out and loses to Jake Paul, it creates this illusion that Jake Paul's much better than he actually is. And so I guess the question for me is, can Gervonta Davis beat Jake Paul, or will Jake Paul simply be too massive? Can Jake Paul use his size, or will Gervonta Davis simply be too skilled? What's the answer here? And in trying to answer this, I looked to history. And there's one fight that immediately popped out of my mind, and I thought, I wonder what the size difference was there. In fact, it may even be more significant. And it was, and the small guy won. Some of you might be thinking about it right now. It's when David Haye took on the monster, the absolutely ginormous human being, Nikolai Valuev. I think it took place around 2009. So at the time, I was literally a teenager. I didn't have a clue what I was looking at, and I'd fully bought into this David versus Goliath story. But I think it's an excellent example here to draw comparisons between the Gervonta Davis-Jake Paul fight to try and understand whether or not this is a good template and blueprint to try and predict and understand what the size difference might look like in the ring. Now,
the size difference is absolutely insane. Boxing analyst Henry broke down the numbers, and they're terrifying. Tank Davis stands only 5 feet 5 inches and weighs around 145 to 150 pounds on fight night. Jake Paul stands over 6 feet tall and will probably weigh 215 pounds after rehydrating from the 195-pound limit. That's a 60 to 70-pound difference. Has anyone ever overcome odds like this?
Yeah, in terms of sparring, you know, we got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are fast, quick, shifty southpaws.
UFC legend Michael Bisping couldn't believe his eyes when he saw the size numbers. Bisping said Jake Paul weighed 227 pounds against Mike Tyson, which would create almost a 100-pound difference compared to Tank Davis. He called the size gap insane and said it's basically bullying. When a UFC legend calls out a boxing match for being unfair, you know something's wrong. Is this fight even legal with such a huge size difference?
Jake Paul, I think when he weighed in for Mike Tyson, was 227 pounds. That is, if I'm not mistaken, a 92-pound weight difference. Almost a 100-pound weight difference. It's insane. That is called one thing. That's called being a bully.
Wade Plemons analyzed Jake's shove in slow motion. Even though Jake's push was sloppy, Wade reminded everyone that a 200-pound man's contact still hurts. But the scariest part? Tank Davis almost unleashed his knockout left hand right there on stage before his promoter grabbed his arm to stop him. Wade warned that one mistake from Jake could set up Tank's perfect knockout shot. Are we going to see the end of Jake Paul's boxing career?
Still gonna hurt at the very least, and who knows what, because Tank's got ridiculous power. So Jake, a little sloppy on the push there. He got pushed. He wanted to get it back. There's something to be taken away from that, but lines up perfectly for a counter left hand. And you even see his promoter here is kind of grabbing his left hand because Tank wanted to let it fly. And Jake backed up a little bit. He said, oh, and Tank comes with that.
After all the trash talk, the press conference fights, and expert predictions, one thing is crystal clear. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis isn't just another celebrity boxing match. This is a collision between two completely different worlds. Internet fame versus real boxing skill, size versus speed, and hype versus pure talent. Roy Jones Jr. said exhibitions only work when fighters are evenly matched. But is this fight even close to fair? The biggest question remains, will Jake Paul's size and power be enough to shock the boxing world and prove anyone can become a real fighter? Or will Tank Davis's explosive knockout power remind everyone why real boxers always beat pretenders? Will this fight save boxing's reputation or destroy it forever? What do you think will happen when these two finally step in the ring? Drop your prediction in the comments below and let us know who you're rooting for. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so you never miss any updates on the biggest fight in boxing.